Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome back. Again, thanks for the few subscribers that I've gotten, and as well as those who are watching. Today, finally, we're going to talk about my survival knife that I picked. Um, it wasn't hard for me to pick this knife. The knife I'm talking about in question is the Tom Brown Tracker knife. For those of you who may or may not know, Tom Brown Jr. Runs a survival school for both civilian and military personnel. My father went twice. He was in the Navy for 25 years. And when he went, there were several SF guys and some SEALs and even some guys from the Ranger battalions that were there. So just he came back with a plethora of knowledge. If you have ability to go to that school, check it out. But what we're talking about is basically the knife that he designed, the Tracker knife. It has a tumultuous history, the knife. Some people like it, some people don't. It was designed over a 7-year period after an interview that a journalist made with Tom Brown talking about his school. And the journalist asked him, said, well, you know, if there was one knife or one tool that you had that you would, and you were stuck out in the wilderness, what would you want? And he didn't have an answer. He said, I don't know because it hasn't been designed yet. 7 years later, he comes up with the knife that everyone, the Tracker knife that I'm about to show you, excuse me, and talk about. He designed it, and then he first went to Ed Lomby to design it, and then Dave Beck, Tom Fuller, and at Tops USA, and that's where it's ended up 25 years later. It's really it's not a masterful knife. It's a knife that does a lot of things very well, very effectively, and very efficiently. It's not going to do them masterfully and get it right every single time, but it does the job that you need it to. It can do chopping and splitting and carving and scoring, scraping, sawing, notching, and drilling. It can help you do your field dressings as far as with an animal. It just does a lot of things. There is the fact that it can be lashed to a pole that you've split and then tied up for a spear. It can be thrown like a tomahawk. I've done that. I've got this knife in the fashion that it was made, and then I went to a knife maker that I know, and he created a more fancy version, just trimmed down, so to speak. Still the same height and weight and thickness and everything, just is basically fancy danced up. The specs of the knife. Now this is a very heavy knife. It comes in at 21 ounces without the sheath. With the sheath, it's at 26 ounces. It's a 1095 high carbon steel. It's 3/16 inch thick. It's been laser cut, hand ground, and it's been heat treated. Then it was cryo treated, and after that, they put an epoxy coating on. They baked it on in an oven to basically protect the knife from any type of weathering, to where it's basically impermeable to rust. It's a fixed blade, obviously. It's almost right, just under 12 inches long. The blade, you have two cutting surfaces. The first blade length is right at a little over 6 inches. The next one is, or excuse me, the blade length as a whole is a little over 6 inches. The first cutting surface is right around 4 inches, and then the second cutting surface is right a little over 2 inches. So it is heavy. It can do the job of what we're going to talk about. It's designed to function like a knife, but specifically a small hand axe, and that's accomplished by the way that you hold the knife. So and let me pull it out here and show you. It's designed to be held one of two ways, like this, where you've got it held all the way up to the hilt here. Okay, that's your one hold. Then here for your second hold, and third here for your third grip. Those are the three grips that it's designed to be held in, if you will. And you basically get those grips when you're doing your chopping and your cutting, if you will, for more leverage. The further you go out on the handle, the more power you're going to get for that chopping and splitting. So again, it was designed to be functioned as a knife and a small hand axe. The chopping section, okay, let me pull this back out right here. Okay, the curved blade is to be used as a scraper. Then you have the carving section right here, the flat section. This is for accurate splitting. So all your main chopping is going to be here, and then your accurate splitting, if if you need something precise, is going to be your flat edge here. Okay, your draw part of the knife right here is for removing stock. Your saw blade. Now here's an interesting thing on the saw blade. These teeth are not offset, so when you go to use them, it's mainly for notching. You're not going to be in tender size sticks. You're not going to be sawing some 4x4 or 2x4 or anything like that. The other cool thing about this knife is this first tooth right here, if you look at it, is larger and deeper than all of the others. This will cut wire on a fence. For whatever reason you would need to get in through a fence or whatever, if you insert your wire into this first tooth and you pull it taut and you rip it, I guarantee you, I've done it, it's going to rip that wire right in half. The quarter, my favorite part here is the quarter rounder, this little edge here. I've used this on field dressing many a time for animals. When you do this, and you're trying to basically trying to get your hide started. Normally if you were doing a hide on an old knife, you'd be going in like this and ripping it that way, and you'd be getting an uneven cut, you're messing up the hide, and that's no good. Here, with this quarter rounder, the way it's designed is you start your hole this way, you stick that quarter rounder in, and you just rip, and it's going to come right off. I've done it, seen it in use, and operates flawlessly. Let me flip over my note page here. The knife point, I've seen it done. I haven't done it myself. It can be used for drilling and stabbing and spearing, mainly on the drilling part of the side of the house. What they're talking about is when you're doing a base for a bow drill, when you're doing a bow drill fire, you put it in there and you spin it around and it gets started. Then you do your carving to get the hole for your bow drill. The sheath is Kydex. It comes in a left or right hand draw, and originally the sheath is designed to be carried in the scout configuration. Scout configuration being on the small of your back. Now these clips are spinnable, so it can be carried in a typical vertical fashion, but the knife is designed to be carried on the scout position where you're pulling it out of small of your back, like so. The handles, they are micarta, so they're very fancy, they're very durable. Haven't had any issues with these. The thing that I really do like about the knife, one of the many things, excuse me, is the warranty side of the fact. The one drawback to high carbon steel is that it tends to oxidize and stain really fast. When I say oxidize and stain, that means rust. And that's why what Tops and even the original creators of the knife did was they put the epoxy coating on the blade, on the knife itself. Not so much the blade here. I guess you could call this whole portion the blade, but they put it all the way up to the edge, the tip of the blade here. And that basically, it makes it, like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, it makes it impervious to rust. This will not rust. Now, the great thing about Tops, what they've done is they've given you, once you buy the knife, a lifetime sharpening of both cutting surfaces, the saw, and I've got, if you see here from use, I've got where the finishes come off. But now I've had this knife for over 5 years, and I've used it multiple times. They will resurface it, sharpen it, all the edges and the saw teeth for free. Now the downside is that you have to send it in, and at 21 ounces, that's heavy. And as long as you have been treated your sheath correctly, they will replace or repair the sheath. So for the money, it's really just an all-around great tool. I don't have any issues with it. I've owned, I want to say 2, if not 3 of them, and never had anything bad to say. There was a guy I was deployed with on my first rotation. He bought one, and never had any issues with it. My father's owned one. I don't know if he has it anymore, but that's how I got first introduced to the knife. Was he bought it when he came back from the Tom Brown classes. You can find these on eBay. You can find them floating around on the internet. You need to be careful, because I bought one a couple years ago from my father, and I thought I was buying the Tracker 1. This is the Tracker 1. Now the things you have to, and here's where I'm telling you to look out for, because there's a Tracker 2 out there, and this Tracker 2 is about yay big. It's a neck knife. It's a neck blade. That's all it is, and it comes, you put it around your neck. I was really rather embarrassed. I thought I got it at a steal, and it turned out to be a neck knife. My father ended up liking it, but I don't think he uses it at all. So you need to be careful about that. You're probably looking anywhere between $200 to $300. I went on Top's website this morning, and they were right at 300 bucks. The one I have now, I bought at a flea market, and I think I paid $250 for it. So they're out there. Just make sure that you're looking for that when you buy it, you are buying a Tracker 1 knife. There's a big difference. They have a Scout knife that goes with it. It's a much smaller knife. I don't own it. It's for smaller tasks. That's how Tops associates it with. Never used it, never had it, so I don't know. I just really love my Tracker knife. It's just multi-purpose. It does exactly what I need it to do. I've seen there's some videos floating around, guys, giving classes on self-defense with it, because of the weight and the stabbing power that comes with it, and the way the blade is designed. Just a great defense weapon as well. That all being said, I'll put the link for Tops down in the box, and I'll also put I have it in a PDF format. I have the owner's manual. I will put that on there as well, so you can check that out. Absolutely great tool. I highly recommend it, and check it out. You had any questions about it, just give me a shout in the comment box. Thumbs up or thumbs down as usual. Talk to me, guys. Tell me, if you have anything that you want to hear me talk about, or any gear that you want me to check out. I'll do what I can. Thanks a lot. Stay safe, stay alert, and stay alive.